George St. Pierre, certainly your buddy there, making his UFC return. I don't know that there's anything Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor that needs to be discussed today, but if you had something there, certainly we can get to that. But I want to leave with the UFC Halifax recap, and since I just mentioned Sarah McMahon, why not start there? Say what you want about Gina Mazzani, her opposition, right? I understand that. But, dude, I mean, I'm just blown away by Sarah McMahon's strength. Physically, when I see her in person, all I can think about is, like, could I last 30 seconds with Sarah McMahon?
Yeah, she's a beast, man. I mean, obviously, Olympic level silver medalist. Just that alone, I mean, you know, she's going to be tough and strong and an amazing athlete, and she is that. You know, I was watching the match, watching the fight with Ryan Hall, and Ryan had trained with her, and he's like, dude, she's legit man strong. She's not even strong; she's man strong, and. Yeah, she moves real well, and everything's coming together for her finally. You know, and I know her opponent is new and all that stuff, but McMahon just cut right through her like a buzzsaw, man. There was nothing stopping her. She hits extremely hard now. She's putting it all together. She knows when to set up her takedowns. She's shooting in from proper distance, and as soon as she gets a hold of you on the mat, she's not just there to hold you down now, and she's not just kind of throwing little punches at you. She's trying to finish you with big shots or big submissions, and that's exactly what she did. Her arm triangle was gorgeous.
Yeah, so strong. You put it all well, too, in terms of her evolution. Like, she is finally starting to put it all together, and I think her confidence dovetails with that. You didn't answer my question, though, or maybe I didn't put it in question form. I mean, be honest with me. Be honest with me.
Yes.
Right, like, without just totally getting on a bicycle, do you think I could last 30 seconds with Sarah McMahon? Even the hesitation.
30. I mean,
probably not.
I'd give you a minute. But let's see. This is exactly why you got to be doing jiu-jitsu, dude.
Yes, that's why I can't skip tonight.
Yeah.
Hoping Pahumpa might be out of town, but I think he's in town, so we got to go.
I'll call him. I'll
please don't. Please don't. Don't tell him I said this. I know he doesn't listen. He does not listen to the show. So Sarah McMahon, nice win by her. And I read an article on SureDog.com today that said maybe someone like Raquel Pennington next. I think that fight makes a ton of sense.
Yes.
In terms of where they are, I know Sarah McMahon is talking about Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko. I still think she's one win away. I think a fight with Pennington, even though she's sidelined after having surgery, I think that has a lot of legs. Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. You know, a big part of his run here in this heavyweight division, I think it's 6 wins in a row now, has been dealing with some adversity, whether it was on this night against Travis Browne or getting in an early hole in a weird fight against Shamil Abdurakhimov. And Derrick Lewis has rallied through that. He showed you that he is more than just power. You know, he's an underrated grappler still, and he's got heart, and he's got a lot of it, and he's very tough. He's got a mean streak, never looking for a way out of there, and Travis Browne certainly had his chances here, but it goes into the books as you saw it, Derrick Lewis by knockout.
It's just a boo-boo, though. Yeah, I mean, Derrick Lewis is the man, dude. I was really impressed. And to keep that kind of a schedule as a heavyweight, man, is very, very impressive. And you heard him, you know, what he said. He's going to take at least 3 months. He doesn't want to hear anything about any fights for a little while. He's kept a very busy schedule. He's taken on a lot of tough guys. I think he was very disappointed by his last performance. And Travis Browne, listen, Travis Browne is a lot more experienced than him. He's probably technically a much better fighter than Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis, though, got him to exchange with him, and he had to rally back from those body shots. Those front kicks from Travis Browne were doing great work once again. It looked like he was going to get Derrick Lewis out of there. Derrick Lewis was able to gut it out, no pun intended, and and get the win. I landed some big shots, that uppercut, and that shot right on the forehead of Travis Browne just knocked him down. That was the beginning of the end. You know, and listen, you know, Mario Yamasaki, he's one of our buddies. He's one of our boys. Good guy, but he was very late on that stoppage. And I hate seeing it, especially with heavyweights, a guy take, you know, 2 or 3 extra shots. And he was just very casual, breaking up the fights. And I didn't like that, but an excellent finish for Derrick Lewis, and look forward to seeing who they match him up against in the future.
Yeah, Travis Browne took one too many, so he's lost 3 in a row, 4 of his last 5. And again, I still think there are big fights for Travis Browne. I still think that there's a place for him in that top 15, but I think this was sort of one that he had to have, and he didn't get it. And we'll see what they do in terms of matchmaking Derrick the Black Beast Lewis, but he has a lot of support. I mean, you saw after the post-fight interview, Anthony Rumble Johnson tweeting like, that's my favorite fighter. And I had a similar thought. You know, I didn't watch the fight until the morning after. Nice having that night off. I was in bed early, but it was, I mean, he's just a character, dude. Like, you look at his Instagram, I think he walks that line. He goes right up to that line, and maybe in some instances he crosses it, with Instagram post of him, pretending to masturbate, like on fight day that his buddy I mean, there's he goes right up to that line, sometimes crosses it, but he has this mass appeal thing down, at least right now, and people want to see him fight, and they want to see what he has to say. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know what? The only thing I would say, the stuff that comes out of his mouth, it's gold. He just needs to speak up a little bit more, inject a little bit even more personality, because sometimes he has such a dry humor that you kind of miss what he says. You know what I mean? I think even Brian Stan, when he was interviewing him, kind of missed a couple of those things. It was a lot. It was very funny stuff. He's just so dry and so monotone. The message kind of wasn't delivered quite the same way. So, but if he improves that dude's going to be a star. I mean, he already is a star, but he'll be an even bigger one.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's not there to project his voice. I feel like I had a weird moment with him. I don't remember exactly, but doing a post-fight interview. And there's certain guys that you got to be prepared. And now, I can assure you, and I'm not doing a lot of post-fight interviews these days, but if I'm ever in there with Ben Rothwell again, I'll be prepared.
Exactly.
I've been there before. So we talk sometimes, Kenny, about just the value of one singular UFC win. I think you won 12 UFC fights. And to see Johnny Hendricks get that one UFC win, that elusive win, and here's a guy who's been champion, right? He's been at the top. He's fought all the best guys. But to just get a win and see how happy he was, to get a win at 185 pounds, something that maybe he didn't think would happen, and if he loses this fight, maybe that is the end, and he's got a lot of mouths to feed, and he's got a lot of pride, and I don't know, seeing Johnny Hendricks ear to ear after a win at middleweight was sort of one of the bigger moments, I thought, at least on Sunday night for me.
Johnny's a good guy, man. He really is. He's had his issues making weight, and I know I've criticized him on it, but he really is a genuinely very good guy. And he's had a lot of ups and downs, man, in his career. And I think that his job probably was on the line. And he's not fighting an easy fight. Hector Lombard is a very tough out at 170 or 185 pounds. And I think that, for Lombard, it was a very tough loss. For Hendricks, it was a big-time win. Now, Hendricks didn't look in the best shape possible, but I do think that's the weight that he needs to fight at. At 170 was just way too much for him. It didn't seem like he had that same kind of passion, or maybe I don't know if it was the passion, or I don't know if maybe it was just he was just too big for the weight class.
Yes.
But he's going to have trouble moving forward against the big 185 pounders. As far as the elite in that top 10, it's going to be very difficult for him to make a run for that belt. But I thought he looked good. He showed better footwork, in my opinion. He was mixing things up a little bit better. I think anytime you get a win over Hector Lombard, or anytime you fight Hector Lombard without getting clipped, it's a good night.
So for Hector Lombard, made his UFC debut, obviously with much fanfare, in 2012. At the time, he was 31-2-1. Now he has 7 losses. His last win, and it's certainly a high-quality win, was against Jake Shields, March of 2014. So coming up on 3 years without a win for Hector Lombard. You'd have to say his UFC tenure has been underwhelming relative to the expectations that were surrounding him when he made his UFC debut. I mean, I don't know if his job's on the line, but really disappointing that he hasn't been able to get on track. Took some big shots here, maybe showed a chin that people didn't think he still had, but I'm not quite sure where the artist formerly known as Showweather goes from here.
Yeah, and you know what? He could have won that fight. It was a close fight. It was a fight that really could have gone either way. I thought Hendricks probably won it, but Hector did hit a couple key takedowns in that fight. It wasn't enough volume, I think. I think, first of all, he was definitely respecting the knockout power of Johnny Hendricks. Hector Lombard has been knocked out in the past, so I think that was what was keeping him hesitant, and probably rightfully so. And
right.
I think I could say the same thing for Hendricks. But, yeah, Hector Lombard has so much potential. His judo skills are phenomenal. His takedowns, I think he was winning the takedown game against Hendricks for sure. And he hits very hard. He has such fast hands. There just wasn't enough of it. And positionally, when he had his opportunities after the takedowns against Hendricks, he was allowing Hendricks to get back to his feet. He just wasn't sharp with his positioning and with his ability to take the back. And I think that came back to haunt him.
All right, a couple other main card guys to shout out. Nice win for Gavin Tucker, Elias Theodoro as well against Mutanchi. But the main card opener, to me, stole the show. I thought Paul Felder actually could have ended up walking away with $100,000 in bonus money. Leaves with the $50K. He'll certainly take it. This was a huge win for him. You remember that TKO doctor stoppage against Francisco Trinaldo, obviously, last September, and this was just what the doctor ordered, man. Quick turnaround, first round finish, bonus money, and obviously style points to go with it, Kenny. He got you to the Twitter machine on Sunday night.
Yes, he did. That was Paul Felder on Sunday night, by the way. That was Paul Felder.
Yeah.
The other Paul Felder that we've been seeing is I don't know, it's someone else. But that is the Paul Felder that I think that everyone expected in the UFC after we saw his debut. He was putting it all together beautifully. And let me tell you, Alessandro Ricci is a very good striker, man. He's very, very good everywhere and tough. And Felder was just the more technical guy. It seemed like Ricci really wasn't so comfortable in there. He seemed a little bit tight, a little bit nervous, and Felder seemed to sense it. And Felder just stayed right in the pocket, really pressured him. And it was so funny because it was actually a technique I was showing that same day. I was talking about that up elbow. When you step in, boom, throw that up elbow. And, man, that was the beginning of the end. It was just a couple punches on the ground that took out Ricci, but he ran right into that elbow. That's one of my favorite techniques, and to see someone do it at a high level against another high-level striker, man,